Like the Congressman, I'm born and raised in Orlando, and I'm very committed to my community. I also went to the University of Central Florida, and to be here today to talk about our home state and to amplify what we are seeing on the ground is an opportunity that I do not take for granted. This is a very important topic, examination of anti-democratic abuses of power in the state of Florida. Myself, along with my fellow witnesses, are here to provide that in-depth perspective of what the supermajority Republican Party alongside Governor Ron DeSantis are doing to our state. Actions have compromised the legislative process. They have consolidated power between the three branches of government, eroded individual freedoms, attacked public education, threatened our economy, and a preempted local government authority, which has stripped our neighborhoods and our municipalities from their ability to solve everyday problems. These are not hypothetical threats or hyperboles. In fact, Florida has become ground zero for extremism, and it's important for those of us on the ground to provide that insight to what has become a dangerous trend within Florida's political landscape and our identity. First and foremost, the fundamental principle of democracy lies in the ability of our elected representatives to engage in a fair and transparent legislative process. However, it has become evident that the Republican supermajority in Florida has strayed from this path. Their practices have undermined the democratic foundation upon which our nation stands, leaving many Floridians voiceless and marginalized. They have limited public input, stifled dissenting voices, and pushed through legislation without accurate scrutiny or debate. The sanctity of the legislative process has been compromised, and it's our duty to expose and rectify this injustice. To provide you with a few examples, the Florida House rules for the 2023 legislative session not only continue the process of structured debate, which creates an environment where sometimes we're only given 20 minutes to debate very contentious and important bills on the House floor, but they also added a process to expel members, which we can assume is inspired by what we've seen in other states, but to really create a culture of fear among other colleagues for us not to dissent or call out some of this behavior. The Florida legislature has also denied adequate public testimony on bills, sometimes limiting public testimony in committee to 30 seconds or less for those from the public who come to speak. And perhaps most alarming has been the arrests of citizens expressing the First Amendment rights. Not only have we witnessed more than 24 Floridians be arrested during this past legislative session, which ended in May, simply for expressing the First Amendment rights, but there was a group of activists that threw underwear down to the House floor chamber. I know it's kind of a random thing to throw, but harmless. And now 2 months later, those individuals have had warrants issued for their arrest, and they are actively being arrested in the state right now. Unfortunately, this has become the norm in the so-called free state of Florida. Attacks on the First Amendment have not just impacted individual Floridians, it's also impacted the business sector. As I'm sure many of you have heard, the Florida conservative supermajority has attempted to censor private businesses through policy and intimidation. First, there's House Bill 7 from the 2022 legislative session, which targets the K-12 academic sector, higher education, and the business community in any of their diversity, equity, or inclusion programs, essentially banning them from being able to talk about or prioritize many of these different topics. Fortunately, a federal court has halted this implementation in the collegial and business environment, but has not done so in the K-12. Of course, I think everyone here has heard about the feud between Governor DeSantis and Walt Disney World, but it's more than just a feud. We're talking about a private business with First Amendment rights that is being punished because they dare to defend LGBTQ+ people and children. Weaponizing government to punish actors that express an opinion that a governor does not like is not only unethical, but it's also undemocratic. And it's a waste of taxpayer dollars, as we have seen Florida spend millions of dollars in lawsuits on unconstitutional and undemocratic policies and actions. Let's not overlook the sustained attacks on public education in the state of Florida. Education is the cornerstone of a prosperous society, empowering individuals with knowledge and skills necessary to success. However, the Republican supermajority has shown to prioritize their own agenda over the well-being and future of our children by using government to censor free thought, ban books, and whitewash history. They've also inserted conservative orthodoxy into the collegial environment, and we have 90+ years Supreme Court precedent to say that's unconstitutional, but it hasn't stopped them from doing that. Most recently with House Bill 999, Senate Bill 266, which not only sets conservative ideology into general education courses in all Florida universities and colleges, but also goes as far to ban any DEI programs at any one of our higher education institutions. New College of Florida offers the canary in the coal mine. Many of you know New College of Florida was once our premier honors college, a public honors college in Florida. It has gone over a conservative hostile takeover with Governor DeSantis appointing one of his allies to become the president, another ally to become the general counsel, and of course has appointed all of his friends to the board of trustees, taking what was once a school that welcomed diversity to one that is now a publicly funded propaganda machine to prop up the ideology of this undemocratic process. Finally, the issue of preemption demands our attention. Preemption, when used judicially, can serve as a valuable tool to establish consistent policies across different jurisdictions. However, in the state of Florida, preemption has been wielded as a weapon against local governments, effectively silencing their voices and creating an environment where local officials don't have the tools or resources to address everyday problems. This heavy-handed approach to demonstrate a disregard for local democracy and a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of state government. Many local elected officials operate in a place of fear, thinking that if they displease or oppose the governor, they will be removed. And whether it's the Florida High School Athletic Association or some of our local expressway authorities to college board of trustees, no entity feels safe operating and expressing their opinions in Florida today, unless it aligns with the governor. So in conclusion, the Republican majority, alongside Governor DeSantis and his allies in the Sunshine State, have compromised the legislative process, eroded individual freedoms, attacked public education, have threatened our economy along the way, and have wielded preemption as a means of control. It is our duty as Americans to shed light on these anti-democratic abuses of power and to advocate for the restoration of democratic principles in the state of Florida.